Hello and welcome to this week's broadcast review. I am so happy to present to you topics brought by our best independent correspondents, Rachel, Susie, Solly, Gabby, Stephen, and many more. This week's headline is Stamps That Lick Back. Riveting, isn't it? I will only advise you to stick around if you want to hear about much more, like when will geese be free, love potions, chewing gums that take revenge. A parrot who's been missing for 2 years from Hackney has been found safe and well, living with some crows. Jayla's sister J-Lo is getting married. Dogs and guns. And finally, why make rhinos happy? With the biggest question of all, why? Thank you, and back to the studio.
Yes, hello and welcome to the Sports News at 7:30-ish. And today's top story is a shocking one. It will shake you to the core, I believe, when I reveal to you, and this has come in from our independent correspondent, Gabby, that the stamps are licking back. Now, we understand that we are looking at some dark times ahead, possibly the end of all life as we know it. So to report on this, we have a crack team of reporters here in the studio, around the world, and experts as well to discuss all of this. So let's not waste any time because we may not have much time left. So let's go over to our reporter, Pete, who's out in the field reporting on the stamps that lick back. Over to you, Pete.
Yes, James, stamps, our friends, the things we put on our letters and parcels every day, something we don't really think about very much, but today we're thinking about them very hard indeed, because stamps are beginning to lick back. You can see behind me, this is, I'm at the Royal Mint where they print.
¿Cuál?
There's the Royal Mint where
¿Qué fiestas?
I've got a little bit of interference here, some stamp-related conversations going on, but these stamps, they are licking back. So you might go to lick your stamp and hope to stick it on the thing. It might just lick you back. And believe me, nobody wants to be licked by a stamp.
Have you been licked by any of those stamps?
Well, these ones have been carefully mounted on the wall here at the Royal Mint where they print stamps. I'm enjoying that internal rhyme very much, actually. I keep pausing every time I hear it. You can see here, these have been mounted on the wall. These have been put there with some sort of adhesive. It's not able for me to lick them. There are stamps, of course, this is the Royal Mint where they print stamps. They are lying around. I could just pick one up and lick one, but I'm very reluctant to try that with the news stories that's coming in without people on hand to help me out.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of shocking reports, but we're going to try and
yes. Well, all sorts of horrible things happening. Because the taste of a stamp is never pleasant. Can you imagine that taste licking you? This is just the beginning, because it's also known that if you ingest enough of this, it is over time a toxin. We could become poisoned and killed by our own stamps, sent off to a better place by the very things we use to send things.
It's quite poetic.
Thank you. I'm feeling very poetic. Not sure what it is. Something in the air.
Yeah. I hope it's not the toxin getting to your brain.
Well, it could be. There are lots of vats of open stamp glue here, and I guess the moisture in the air could be getting to them and setting off the toxins in them. So there could be some. I do feel a little bit woozy. I might actually get out of here and find somewhere a little bit better.
Okay. Well, good luck finding somewhere safer, and we'll come back to you later in the show for an update.
Thank you, James.
Thank you, Pete. So you hear it there, that perhaps the atmosphere itself is starting to lick the stamps, and they may be starting to lick back. So let's go over to an expert in the studio. We have...
pues por aquí bien, yo creo que están vacunando bastante.
We have Dr. Postbox here in the studio. And you can see we've got cross satellite connections with our sister channel. But let's go over to Dr. Postbox, who is in the undecorated part of the studio. And let me just go over there. So, Dr. Postbox, what can you tell us about this stamp phenomenon? What are we looking at here?
Well, first of all, we need to really start investigating on why, obviously, this has happened, and then we can talk about the ripple effect that follows. We are still looking into reasons why stamps might be rebelling against their lickers, and well, we seem to have found one of the reasons. We received a letter earlier today asking for the release, official release of geese. So we're thinking it might be a political statement that stamps are making, and they seem to be gathering forces and joining with other objects or elements. For example, we have had news that they've started recruiting chewing gum to chew us as a form of protest as well.
Goodness me. So basically anything that involves our mouths and saliva might be fighting us back.
Indeed.
So is there, I mean, how can we defend ourselves against this?
Well, first of all, we should stop licking stamps. Alternatives are nail polish to stick them. It's quite effective, and the toxicity of nail polish itself should counteract against the stamps. So that's a good way to kill them. Just use nail polish on them. Chewing gums are potentially a bit more complicated, but you know, we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Okay. And is there any danger that we're just too late? That even if we start using nail varnish, it just might not be enough to keep us safe from...
Well, the only thing we can do is fight, and fight we will.
There you go. Thank you, Dr. Postbox. Please stay with us in the studio. We might have some more things to talk about as this presentation goes on. I'm going to go back to the decorated part of the studio as I introduce our top reporter, John, who is out there right now gathering the absolute best tidbits on this story. So, John, can you hear me?
Yes, James, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Thank you, James. Yes, it's true. It's worrying news that stamps are indeed licking us back, and chewing gum is chewing us back. And it's so worrying at the moment. Dave Hinsby, our chewing gum and stamp expert, has been looking into this, and things are going on out there to stop this from happening. But the government are saying, stop going to stamp collector conventions. Yes, any stamp collector convention out there, stop going, because the problems with stamps are rife. If you go there, the stamps will attack you as soon as you come in. Another thing is that we're thinking that this is another way of attacking us from another country. We thought that it was going to come from a cyber attack. We thought it was going to come from a normal pandemic, but no. Other countries are making these stamps lick us back. And what's happening are people being licked, and they start sticking to things like their beds, their chairs, their walls. They can't move anymore. They can't go to work. People are becoming still. They can't do anything. And one word of warning, James, before I hand back to you, is this thinking of using nail polish. We did try it, and the nail polish, once it touches the stamps, if it goes on your fingers, it starts to take over your hands. And terrible things have been happening around the country with people's hands. Watch out for it, James. The nails are coming for you, and so are the stamps. Back to you in the studios.
Wow, thank you, John. A shocking revelation there about the stamps and the nail polish. I'm lucky that I never wear nail polish, so I don't have to worry about that, of course. But while I go and deal with this, let's go to a commercial break. So I'll be back after these words from our sponsor.
This is Vicky. Vicky is sad and alone and longing for love. Well, now there's a solution. Just boil up a batch of Granville's love potion. Drink away, Vicky. There's no one around, but at least now she can love herself.
Yes, do go out and buy Granville's love potion, and please don't drink directly from the kettle. The advert was just for illustrative purposes. So back to our top. Oh, I'm just hearing that we have a breaking news story coming in from one of our independent correspondents. And I'm just going to read that off from the auto cue as it comes in. Here we go. We've got a parrot missing for 2 years from Hackney has been found safe and well, living with some crows. Oh my goodness, this is shocking stuff. So we're going to go over to the undecorated part of the studio to talk to Dr. Postbox about this this parrot that came back from being lost for 2 years, found safe and well, living with some crows. Is this normal for parrots? I understand you're an expert in parrots as well as stamps.
Yes, I am indeed. I guess what we need to ask ourselves is, was that parrot a teenager? Because if that is the case, then it is very normal. You know, parrots tend to have a crisis in their teenage years, and running away from home and coming back after 2 years is quite normal.
I see. Okay. Anything more to say on this before we go over to our top reporter?
Well, just that. Your top reporter is a bit full of shit. The nail polish does work, and I don't know what kind of nail polish he uses, but yeah.
I see. Okay, well, thank you. Let's go and hear what he has to say about that. So over to you, John.
Hello, James. How are you back in the studio? Are you still well?
Very well, John. Very well. Thank you.
Yes, this parrot that's been missing for 2 years from Hackney and has been found safe and well with crows. Yes, we were so worried. And the main reason why we were worried is because this parrot, little known to everyone around the world until now, held the official secrets of the meaning of life. And it was fed into the parrot, and the parrot could tell anyone. We thought that someone from another country or someone could find out the meaning of life from these parrots and we could all be doomed. But no, the parrot has been living with crows, and for all we know, crows won't affect us if they know the meaning of life. And by the way, I don't think I'm full of shit. I actually think that nail varnish is a big problem. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you, John. Yes, of course, we don't think that you're full of shit. You are our #1 reporter, and don't worry, we won't be having Dr. Postbox back on Sprout News anytime.
No, he is full of shit.
Could you please leave the studio? Thanks. Sorry about that. So sorry about that. Please leave. Okay, well, while we try and get security up here, I'm going to let's go over to our roving reporter, Dave, to get the voice of the people on the streets. Over to you, Dave.
Right, man. I'm here. I'm roving in front of my TV. I'm catching up with Cobra Kai. It's a fantastic show. And the news on the street is that J-Lo is getting married. Now, this is the sister of J-Lo. But I don't think anyone wants to talk about it. So I'm just going to sit and watch Cobra Kai because it's...
So we're here because we want to know, should dogs have guns? And I'm talking to people on the street right now to find out if they have an opinion. Is anyone have an opinion about whether dogs should have guns?
You know, this is my spot.
Well, they told me to come and do it here.
Well, you can't. This is Armageddon news. We have this spot every week.
Yeah, this is the end of the world news. We're talking about dogs with guns.
No,
the end of the world news.
I've heard about you guys.
Well, we've heard about you.
Dogs should have guns, definitely.
Yeah, good. See?
They should have
no one
guns.
cares about your story.
This isn't about guns. I'm watching Cobra Kai.
It is
We're talking
about
about
guns. He said it's about guns.
Yeah,
What
forget
kind of
about
reporting is this where you're watching a TV show?
What? This is Armageddon news. Will you two both start off, because this is Armageddon news. We always have our news here.
Dogs should have guns. That's all I'm going to say.
There's a new news story in town, my friend.
Oh yeah. What?
So we're just going to break into that report. Thank you, Dave. Enlightening stuff as always. So now it's time for the cultural section of our show. Sorry. I'm just hearing we've got a report coming in from Pete. Pete has found an expert out there in the field. So we'll go to the film review later. Let's go over to Pete now with an update. Over to you, Pete.
Yes, thank you, James. I'm here with Professor Humphrey Bumphrey, who is, I don't even need to introduce him, really, one of the world's most famous experts on stamps. Professor, welcome. You've been talking about stamps licking us back for a long time, haven't you?
Oh, it's been a great concern of mine. I've been trying to warn people, but no one wants to listen to a mad old stamp collector like me. But I'm very aware of it because all of the stamps behind me, I only used to have a few, and now look at them, they're all breeding. Yes. In fact, I mean, when I first contacted you, it was much more sort of, there were like a half a dozen stamps on the back, and this is quite alarming. Are stamps really reproducing at such a rate? They must be, because I look at them and I'll turn my back and suddenly there'll be 17 where there were only 4. I guess people are asking, how do stamps reproduce? I think they reproduce by binary fission mostly. They leave them alone and they touch one another, and phew, there is another one. Oh. So all these stamps, you actually have a collection, a lot of stamps that are actually quite close to each other. So in effect, your collection has been a breeding ground for these stamps. Unfortunately, yes. I should have sorted them better. And there are some who are saying that actually you, the original stamps that started looking back started here. You are the cause of this entire pandemic of stamps licking us back. I've heard many people say this, and I'm afraid it's simply not true. I'm not the one responsible. Just because my stamps started spreading out and started touching other people's stamps, and it was sort of like a tsunami effect. No. Well, I mean, you seem to be unaffected by this, so your stamps have not been licking you, I assume? Oh, they've been licking me, but I've been vaccinated against it, so I should be fine. Oh, so there's a vaccine. Is this something that can be available to the rest of the world, which is crying out for such a thing? Oh, no, they did not make it clear. It was mine. It's my vaccine, just for me. Right. But you could produce a lot of it and pass it around, like scientists do. Yeah, I could do that. Yes, I could. But you won't? No. Well, Professor Humphrey Bumphrey, I need to go. There's something licking my leg, and I assume you don't have a cat, and it's probably stamps. No, that's probably the stamps. Okay, well, thank you very much, Professor Humphrey Bumphrey. There you heard it here. May have originated from this point. I'm going to get out of here. Thank you very much, James. Thank you. Ooh, that's a nice love potion. Oh, hello. You're very attractive. Oh, thank you, Professor Humphrey Bumphrey. And thank you, Pete. Good luck with the leg licking there. I hope you're okay. And while we reflect on the morals of the professor there, let's go over to our cultural section of the show with Vicky, who has a very special guest director. So over to you, Vicky.
Yes, thank you, James. Oh my, I'm invisible. There I am. Oh yes, thank you, James. Hello and welcome to this week's film review. This week we have a very special guest with us. His name is Jeff Kubrick, of course. He's a very, very up-and-coming, fabulously successful filmmaker. I'm sorry, Jeff, I'm kind of coming in and out at the moment, but I'm here, yeah.
Oh, no, don't apologise, Vicky. Thank you.
Right, you're here, Jeff, to talk about your new film. It's called Dogs with Guns. It's a very bold title. I have to say I was very impressed already just looking at the poster of the movie. How did you come up with such a title?
Yes, Vicky, yes. So I am a dog owner myself. And when I was looking for ideas for my next project, I had a few script ideas. But this one stuck out to me because I have dogs myself. And I've once been called a puppy farmer, and that if a dog had a gun, he should shoot you. And I thought, oh, what a great idea. So I managed to contact my good friend Mark, and he wrote this fantastic screenplay all about dogs with guns. And I think it's a very poignant film.
It is. It was really riveting. I have to say, it was almost scary at times, and I have to say that the choice that you made of using the colors the way you did, I want to say that's very unusual. That's very original. I think it's quite groundbreaking. And what was your inspiration for that part?
Yes. Thank you very much for that, Vicky. Yes. So, as you know, dogs have dew claws, that extra claw on their paw. And I thought, well, since their guns are on there, these dogs should be, armed even more. So I decided to explore with the weaponry, and I thought machine guns on a dog's collar would just get the essence of the film and really, show the dogs in a good light.
Yeah, and it almost reminded me. I don't know if you know those mountain dogs that used to carry some sort of beer tanks on their collars, and it reminded me of that in a much more aggressive way. In a way, does your countryside upbringing participated in your wish to produce such a film?
Yes, we did. We're all about, dogs, arming our dogs. Our soldiers and our army work hard, but they only work hard when we've got that extra support and when we have our dogs. So with the film, I wanted to explore a bit further with these tanks, and rather than fill these tanks, just with weaponry and armor, we combine that with the collar, and then with the automated system to release the weaponry. There we have a solid action film of the year.
Yeah, that's completely true. Did you? Well, of course, you know how the last scene ends in the film, and it's pretty much a cliffhanger. Do you already have plans for the sequel of this movie?
Well, without giving too much away, we do have another screenplay in the works. We're looking at a working title of Dogs with Guns, possibly dogs and cats with guns. We want to explore the idea of cats being a feline ally to these dogs, but of course, I don't want to spill too much on that.
Well, that sounds so interesting. I would be excited to see the sequel. Well, anyways, that's all we have time for today. Thank you so much, Jeff, for being with us today.
Thank you so much. And make sure to watch the film as well. The film is out next Friday at also Free Distance Cinemas.
Everybody, if you're still in this plane of existence, because I'm fading out, you can just run and go see this movie. It's absolutely fabulous. It's good for people who like pets. It's good for people who like guns. It's really a fun film, a scary film, and an original movie. So thank you so much, Jeff, and back to you, James.
Thank you very much for your time, Vicky. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Vicky, and special guest Jeff Kubrick. Vicky there bringing the metaphysics to the Sprout News. So from culture and fun and games with movies and guns, let's go over to Pete for an update on the devastating story that is facing us all, which is the stamps licking back. So over to you, Pete.
Thank you, James. Thank you. A lot has happened since the last interview that I did, and I realized these stamps, they're reproducing and they're everywhere. There must be some sort of nest, and so I've dug around underneath the house where Humphrey lives and keeps his collection, and I found what appears to be the nest of stamps, and behind me is a penny black, which is the very first stamp, and it's effectively the queen, the stamp queen, or the queen of the stamps, and it literally has a queen on it. That's Queen Victoria, who was the queen when the stamp was made, but here it is, and it's now the mother of all stamps. This is the sort of shocking reporting that should make me #1 reporter.
Well, Pete, if you're there with the mother of all stamps, do you think you could kill it? Is it alive?
I mean, this is what they reproduce. They're licking us back. They show all signs of life. But how does one kill a stamp? This one has already been marked with dust. It's already been used. It's had that mark on its bit, but somehow it's still alive. I'm just working on a theory that if we lick the stamps and we can diffuse them, put them on things, and they're licking us back, what if we then lick them back? Will that break the cycle, or will that increase the cycle? I think it'll break the cycle because we'll be going back to the original licking, which is us licking the stamp. So that's what I'm prepared to try.
Pete, if you try this and if you save the world, that might help you become #1 reporter. I don't want to.
Well, I mean, becoming #1 reporter is a higher on my list than saving the world. But I will do it for whatever reason is necessary. So if you'll bear with me.
Okay.
It tastes horrible. It tastes like 150-year-old horrible. I don't feel good. But it hasn't. Oh, I've just been licked back. The cycle is continuing.
Oh.
Mankind is doomed. Just say once that I'm #1 reporter, and then I'll be happily. I'm being licked. It's horrible. It's horrible. Just say I'm #1 reporter, and then I go in peace, and we hope we find. Just say it. Just once. I just want to hear it once.
I want my last words to you to be honest. So you are one of our reporters, and yeah, let's have a moment, pause and thought for Pete and his family. There. So we now are going to go to a thought for the day with Alistair. It's the end of the show. So let's go over to Alistair now.
Hello there. Why make rhinos happy? Well, rhinos are renowned as the world's angriest animal. And if we can make rhinos happy, surely everyone can be happy. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Alistair. Very wise words as always there. And yes, I hope that we can all be happy in our last few days on Earth before the stamps get us all. Pete, obviously the first among us to go there. So that's the end of Sprout News. We didn't have time to talk about all the news stories of today. We didn't have time to talk about the evil aliens forcing us to rap, you know. We didn't have time to talk about carpet or grabbing alien tongues or puddle jumping. But we did have time to tell you about other things, and we will have much more news next time on Sprout News. Goodbye. Yes, thank you very much for joining us for Sprout News. You've been a fabulous audience. Please give a round of applause for the people you've seen performing today. You have seen Pete. You have seen Carlotta. You've seen Jon. You have seen Vicky. You have seen Dave. You have seen Alistair. You've seen Gregory. And you've seen our very special guest, Jeff. So please give a round of applause to all the people, and give yourselves a round of applause. You, Vicky. I've just seen Vicky's face. Yes, we did the show entirely with your suggestions. So thank you so much for all of those. And please give yourselves a round of applause, and hope to see you again soon.